Cody has really intense feelings about our church.
She's been really, really frustrated with me, sort of withdrawing from the church that she grew up in.
We're going to kind of have, traditional old-fashioned values. They're in college, both of them. So finding a guy to date that has similar values has been hard. They don't have any churches around here that live in plural marriage.
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. So I did a video last week where we talked about a small clip that came out from this most recent episode where Robyn sat down with her daughters about dating and joining churches and going back to church. And it felt super weird because it's like the girls are in public college at Northern Arizona University. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Flagstaff, but it's a pocket of Arizona where it's a pretty liberal city. And that's why Cody and the crew moved there, because Cody felt like due to their liberal beliefs, they would be more accepted there because anything goes, I guess, in his mind. And because of that progressive stance, it's not as easy for them to find other people that are as fundamentalist as they are. So there is conservative Christianity, but then there's fundamentalism, which is legalism, basically looking at religion as the Bible is inherent, every word is truth. It's not stories that should be interpreted, it is direct words from God. We must practice it word for word without interpretation. And for fundamentalist Mormons, like the Browns, what they do is they look at the older teachings under Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and the early leaders of the church and practice Mormonism fundamentally from the beginning. They don't ascribe to what has been taken on by the mainstream church in the past century. So I thought it was weird that Robyn cared so much about her daughter's dating, because I was like, well, if you're in public school and in public college, why is it your choice, Robyn, when and if they marry? Why does it matter to you? But then while they're having this conversation, it becomes apparent that part of this is about what are the girls going to choose? Like, do they want to be plural wives? And this is something that Robyn has always wanted for her daughters. Back very early on, she said that if her children did not choose polygamy, she would feel like a failure as a parent. Now she's changing her point of view, but she still seems to be trying to push them towards that, even though she tries to walk away from it. And then Cody made a pretty disturbing comment, but I'll kind of show you what she says, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what he said.
I don't have the same call to it that you and Dad do and did. Okay. All right. So that's not a thing. What about you, sweetie? I have conflicting thoughts. But right now I don't think so. I'm not sure if I want to live that.
So Aurora says that she doesn't have the same testimony as her parents or how they felt or did feel. And Brianna said that she has conflicting feelings about it. She isn't sure if she wants to live it and doesn't say really yes or no. She looks undecided, but more negative than wanting it. Now, I don't know if we've ever talked about what does it mean to have a testimony, but when they are in their church, one of the parts of how they accept their faith is by having a testimony that they believe that what Joseph Smith has said and written is true. They accept the Book of Mormon, they accept his Doctrine and Covenants, and that as a part of this testimony, they understand that in order for them to achieve and to get to the celestial kingdom and fully believe, that they must practice the principle of plural marriage. So a testimony is basically saying, I believe in Joseph Smith and what he said and the testimony of his beliefs and the Book of Mormon, and I believe that in order to live this righteously, and fulfill the gospel's purpose, I have to be a polygamist or be a plural wife or be a polygamist. That's what having a testimony means. And they often tell people that they need to share their testimonies in church or in Bible studies so that people understand why it's important to them. And it's usually very boring why they came to this conclusion. And it's often because they've been, indoctrinated and brainwashed to believe this. But it sounds like Aurora is a little bit more, okay, this is definitely not what I want to do. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that they aren't still adhering to many of the same beliefs about what their role is as a wife, what their role is and feelings about patriarchy. If you go on to either Aurora and or Brianna's Pinterest, both of them are when Robyn says old fashioned, we're talking like quiverful old fashioned, like a woman's place is in the kitchen. Her job is to be a wife and to obey her husband and to submit. Aurora repins stuff by Lori Alexander, who's the transformed wife, who's the grossest blogger in the entire world and a travesty to all women because of what she tells people. And, she's the woman that tells people that they should never say no to their husband when it comes to sex, and they can't say no. It's disgusting. So when Robyn says that they have these very traditional beliefs, she means like they traditionally believe that they're not equal to men. They traditionally believe that their body is not their own. They traditionally believe they must submit, obey, and be a dutiful wife that gives sex to their husband whenever they want it. So long story short, that's what their testimony is. And then now Robyn describes what her thoughts are about this.
What we've gone through in our family as far as everything falling apart, I feel like it's more because of the individuals and rather than plural marriage itself. If Brianna got a testimony and felt like plural marriage was her choice and that's what she felt like was her path, I'd be like, okay. But if it's not, that's okay too. It's absolutely okay. I love it.
So if you don't speak fundamentalist Mormon, she's basically saying very similar to what Mary said in the same episode, where she said that she still believed that plural marriage can work. It's just that in this specific situation, it's the people that were involved that didn't make it work. But what I think is interesting here is that I think because she still believes it, I do believe she believes in polygamy, even if she doesn't know how to live it and she can't live it well. And she caused all kinds of problems in the family because of her selfishness, which is, whatever. I think that she's able to sit there and say and justify to herself that she's not a failure, because if she had her way, she would still be living polygamy. It wasn't her choice that people left. And I think that's why she always said it wasn't my choice for it to be like this, and that it was everyone else's fault. And then I think for Cody, it's also like the same thing. Well, it wasn't my choice that Christine left. It wasn't my choice that Janelle left. I didn't want Mary to get a release, but I also didn't care that she got a release, but then I was mad when she got a release, type of thing. Like, he makes it so that he pushed them all away so that he wouldn't feel like a failure, even though now he is a failure in the eyes of the church. And for her to say that she believes that, it's still possible to live polygamy well, that to me feels like she still believes in this faith. So I feel like even if they go church shopping, I don't think Robyn's going to change her thoughts or feelings. I really don't. I think at her core, this is her faith. And to be clear, usually people that get this far in life with their faith don't abandon it at that point. If they're this indoctrinated and this is their belief, even if they don't go to the normal church, it's still what she believes. And so that's why she would be okay if her daughters were in it. She would be fine with it. She would be like, yeah, that's great. You can do this. And truthfully, she said it's fine if they don't choose it, but I believe she would be disappointed. I also believe that part of the reason she has kept them so isolated and so, suffocated by her control is that I think in a part she wants them to. And so if they don't know that there's other options out there, they won't do monogamy. They'll do plural marriage. And with Cody, his take is weird because of what he says. Check it out.
I don't think any of my kids are going to live plural marriage. I could possibly see it if one of my daughters wanted to marry a married man. I don't think the experience they've had with our family would make them want to do that. So I really wouldn't care to have my daughters in plural marriage. I really don't think any of my sons are interested in plural marriage either.
So here is a reality that I just want to make clear that I haven't really talked about, and I'll share with you. But Cody said that he can't really see any of his daughters wanting to live plural marriage or polygamy unless they were to marry a married man, which is ridiculous because they don't actually have to marry a married man in order to live polygamy. They can actually marry a man that isn't married yet and then eventually become a plural wife when that man takes a second wife, which happens a lot. If Cody remembers, at one point in time, Cody was a man only married to one woman, and then he took on more wives. But from Cody's position, the only way they would ever do this is if they married a married man, which sounds very weird, honestly, to have him say this. It doesn't really help this concept that people have said that, he would want to marry his adopted daughters, but that's neither here nor there. What this tells me and what the scene told me was that during this time, this was filmed, Kody and Robyn met with the church. And if you remember in this episode, Robyn said, we don't have a branch in Vegas and we didn't have a branch here. So it's been very hard for us to practice our faith. Cody tried to petition the church to get a branch at Coyote Pass. He wanted his own group within the AUB, according to my source. And this was the same source that told me about Andrea and how Andrea had helped Mary. So I would hope that you believe that this source is legitimate and had no reason to make this up. So if this is true, Robyn was at one point, and this might have been facilitated by her daughters wanting to get back in church, trying to get a branch in Flagstaff. And so I do think that Robyn wanted her daughters in polygamy. And even though Cody says that he doesn't want to be a part of polygamy and he doesn't believe in polygamy or whatever, he doesn't ever say that he doesn't believe in the faith. He says that he doesn't believe in the leadership of the church. He doesn't say that he doesn't believe in Joseph Smith. He doesn't throw it all out. He just says that he doesn't believe in the church. And he says in the same episode that he and Robyn are fighting about the fact that he's mad at the church. Now, next week, he's going to say to Robyn, I hope that there's no one that can take you away from me. Why would he say this? Well, now that Cody has had a release from the church by him having Mary released from him, and because the church wasn't interested in him getting his own, branch in Flagstaff, if Robyn were to go to the elders and say she wanted to talk to the leaders and the brethren and get advice about what her path should be. So if Robyn believes that she still needs to live the principle of plural marriage, they could advise her for her spiritual well-being, that they can assign her to a new marriage and release her from Cody. Because Cody was already deemed a failure with Mary, and because he no longer has what's deemed celestial, rights, and he's a failure to the church leaders can say to Robyn, well, our advice is that in order for your spiritual well-being, we should probably find you a new husband. We should find you a new man. And so I think with Cody, what he's saying is, my daughters would only do this if they found a married man, but it's because of what happened in our family that they would never do this. I don't know if that's true or not. And then he says, so I don't know that I would want them in plural marriage. What he's actually saying is, I don't know that I would want them in our church, because the church leaders took Mary from me, and the church leaders have deemed me a failure, and I'm an embarrassment to my community. So I don't want my daughters in that church, and they won't let me have my own branch. I think if he was not given a release or Mary wasn't given a release and he didn't have egg all over his face, I don't think he would be saying this at all, honestly. And I think part of the reason why he's panicking about Robyn leaving is that the brethren could advise her that for her spiritual well-being, she needs to leave him. So that's just something to think about.
I was asking about just finding a church. This is kind of going to be probably a big conversation, because I don't know what church she's referring to and if she has something specific in mind. I think that's one of my biggest goals as a mother is knowing that my children have a relationship with God.
So here's the thing for Robyn. If she truly believes in the faith that she comes from and the faith of, the Mormon faith and Joseph Smith and the fundamentalism, she will want her children to stay in that faith because if she believes it for herself, she will want her children to follow suit and remain so that she can be and have her eternity with her children. She will believe that their salvation is dependent upon the fact that they remain in the faith. And so if they find something outside that faith, she might have trepidation or fear that it's going to take them away from her eternity, or take them away from her life. And, it's honestly, the kids don't even have to have this conversation with her. They're adults. Brianna is 19. Aurora was 21 when this was filmed. Neither one of them need permission from Robyn to find another church. They don't. They can do whatever they want. They can believe whatever they want. There's nothing stating that mom and dad have to approve of this and have to do this with me. If they wanted to become, monks, they could become monks. If they wanted to become Buddhists, they could become Buddhists. They can believe whatever they want. So obviously, Kody and Robyn still have a level of control over them where they feel like they can't do this without them. And Robyn obviously still wants them in polygamy, even though she's saying it's okay if they're not there. It's clear to me she wants them to be plural wives, but that's just me.
Nervous about this experience, and I've got some anxieties and some withholding. And Robyn keeps going, well, we need to do something. Man, I've been in a dark place a little while. And so Robyn's sitting here going, well, I'm going to start checking stuff out. I'm in a place in my life where I will remain the maverick because I don't want to wear the brand. But I do believe in Jesus.
So Kody's afraid because he wants to stay on the fringes. Being a Mormon maverick is being a dissenter or someone that is critical of the church, someone that would prefer to stay on the fringes of the faith. I think Kody has been happy in the world of independent polygamy or independent fundamentalism. And I don't think he necessarily has needed or wanted to have a church because he's set in what his beliefs are and doesn't feel like he needs to change them. So I think why Kody's going to be not wanting to do this is because you're not going to find the Mormon Jesus at a Pentecostal church. You just won't, because they don't believe in the same Jesus that we do. The Mormons believe that you can become a god. So a Mormon Jesus will, tell someone that I was once a man who became God and you can too. They tell them that if you're more like me and you become like me and here's how you do that and you become perfect like me, you can become God. In Kody's faith, the AUB believes that Jesus was a polygamist and married and had kids, and he did all the things that a normal polygamist man. And in Christianity, like in the Bible, Jesus was not married, didn't have kids, was someone that just was completely devoted to his faith. They're not the same Jesus. So they say that they believe in Jesus, but Kody won't find the Jesus he believes in at a Christian church that's not tied to the LDS faith. The other issue is that he believes in blood atonement, meaning some sins are not atoned by Jesus's death. The main tenet for most Christian churches is that Jesus died for our sins, and that because he sacrificed himself and he gave himself for others, all of us are free in him, and we have freedom from our sins, and we have eternity in him if we believe in him because he atoned for us. But Kody's Jesus, he believes, didn't atone for us. So I don't think Kody wants to do this. And I don't think you're going to see Kody at a church with them. But that's just me. I think this is probably why Kody wanted to try to get the church there, tried to get a branch there. And I think this is also why Robyn wanted a branch there so she could keep her girls in polygamy. I think Kody was thinking about his daughters marrying married men. And I think Robyn wants her daughters to marry married men. But I don't know that that's what her daughters want. But I think they're going to keep them under as much control as possible so that it remains an option, which is gross, honestly. Now, we know that they pick a Pentecostal church and that they're very involved in it, but they've gone to different churches throughout the years to have a sense of faith without really embracing the full scope of it. So who knows? But I was disturbed by this whole conversation, honestly, because it feels like Robyn would still be willing to sell her daughters into polygamy. if they had the right. And Cody's terrified of Robyn going and exploring because she might seek her own release from him to find and save her own salvation. It's a mess. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, we are almost at 400,000 subscribers. I would like to get there by the end of this year. Please hit that subscribe button on the way out if you haven't yet. It's totally free, and I love all of you that have recently subscribed to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, everyone.